Courageous and compassionate conversations are the seeds that lead to cultural change, especially within the workplace. For over 10 years, our guest has been leading gender and racial diversity strategies to create cultural change. We're going to learn how this seasoned founder organizes hackathons for equality to connect tech companies to underrepresented tech talent. Oh my gosh, guess what? It's Fab Female Founder Friday on the Startup Life Live Show. Let's glow. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Startup Life Live Show. I'm your host, Andy Lyons, four-time founder and startup champion to founders around the world. And after raising 4 businesses of my own, I now share founder startup stories from newly minted business owners find the solutions and inspiration they need to succeed. So I'm so delighted that you carved out time in your busy schedule to come in, tune in, up your founder game while cheering on a fellow founder. Because you never know, you can find a new resource, tool, a solution, and have that aha moment that will really catapult you to the next level. That's why it's so good to listen to other founders' stories and hear how they figured stuff out, especially if you're in the thick of problem solving, right? Every day. If you're joining us live, please say hello in the comment section so we know that you're there. And Marie, our guest, and I can wave to you. If you're watching the replay, leave the hashtag replay or any kind of comment or a emoticon in the comment section so I can swing by and say hello. And if you like the founder stories and gems you're hearing today or through this video, please share this video link with your community or on your feed. And hey, if you resonate with this show's mission of amplifying diverse voices while serving first-time founders around the world, please consider supporting Startup Life live show with a small donation via Patreon. You can find the donation buttons on my website. And hello, thank you so much for sharing your love on this video wherever you're watching, because we are live right now on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Twitch. There's got to be some kind of really good song for that, right? And if you're tuning in from YouTube, please share your subscribe love and click on the bell icon for alerts. Thank you. It really helps us reach first-time founders, some other folks out there who are probably sitting at home going, I don't know what to do. And it would be great by sharing your like and love for the show. It helps us reach more first-time founders. So let me get on to sharing this incredible guest that we have today. Social impact startup founder, Marie Roker-Jones. Woohoo! Let me bring up an image because she's just a remarkable woman. And it is Fab Founder Friday, so we want to make sure we give her all the love and cheering she deserves. For over 10 years, Marie has been leading gender and racial diversity strategies to create cultural change. And a seasoned founder, check out what Marie's up to right now. She is the co-CEO, co-founder and CEO of Essteem, a platform that organizes Equalithons. These are hackathons for equality. And it's the first of its kind virtual DEI events that connect tech companies that uphold diversity and inclusion commitments to underrepresented tech talent who want to work for these companies who are committed to DEI. And as the founder of Raising Great Men, that's right, Marie has done a lot of amazing work in her life. Marie built a movement for parents, empowering them with resources to raise culturally aware and socially conscious children. God, I love that, something fierce. And while she was at it, she was the senior editor for the Good Men Project. And we all know about the Good Men Project. And if you don't, get over there and check it out. It's a multimedia cross-platform site that asks, what does it mean to be a good man in the 21st century? Marie has also helped tech companies and startups with their diversity hiring goals through veteran and military spouse initiatives. Oh, I am ready for one of those delicious and courageous conversations. Let's bring Marie into the room. Welcome to the show, Marie.
I love it. Thank you. when you know your bio and hearing somebody say it and bring so much life to it, it's so great. So thank
Oh,
you.
good. Oh, I'm so happy because we're here to celebrate you, Marie Roker-Jones, for the remarkable work that you've done and are doing now. And it's amazing, as Arlen Hamilton talks about in her book, our lived experiences prepare us for what we're doing today. And you've had some amazing lived experiences. Where are
Yeah.
you hailing from today?
New York City.
Yay, New York City. Hey, Steve Vilkas. Marie, meet Steve. He's one of the incredible, enriching, we call him the glue that holds our startup community together here in Boston, and we love it, adore him. And Steve is saying, it must be Friday. Hello, amazing Andy and Marie. Very glad to be here and ready to listen and learn.
Hi, Steve. Thank you.
Steve, you do remarkable work and in having courageous conversations everywhere you go. He's a phenomenal writer, just saying, Marie. And we got someone tuning in from Twitch. Hey, how you doing there from Twitch? Always happy to see folks here. Okay, so Marie, you're a founder, all right? So every day, every minute is like a roller coaster ride, right? One minute you're like, wee, and the next minute it's like, oh no. And where are you on the up and down right now? What give us a barometer check.
You know what? If I was on a roller coaster, when you're just about to go to the top and that, the drop is not necessarily bad, but it's the excitement.
Yeah.
So I'm there. I'm when you're just going up and you reach that top and the excitement's about to come, the thrill. And so, yeah, I think
that's a delicious place to be.
Yeah.
And founders, my favorite saying is, one minute you're popping the champagne and the next minute you're crying into it. It's just part of it. We have to be fully expressed at our founder journey with all the good and the bad and the ugly. So speaking of founder journeys, I want to invite anyone tuning in who has a business, please take this moment to amplify your brand. I got to tell you, magical connections happen on this show. So you never know who's going to be tuning in and see your mention of your business name, your one-liner, and your website URL. You never know. So pop that into the comment threads, and Marie and I will celebrate you something fierce. Also, don't forget to pop in any questions that you have along the way, because, I always like to do a chunk of conversation and learning, and then I want to talk to the audience and find out what you think about what Marie just shared. So feel free to do that. And this will be going along the bottom on the show while we're talking. Every way that you need to connect with Marie Roker-Jones is right there. And of course, for those of you watching the replay, I'm going to have all the links in the show notes, so not to worry. So excited. Hey, Louis, so good to see you. Oh, thank you so much for tuning in. You're going to love meeting Marie if you haven't already. Be sure to connect with her on LinkedIn because she is remarkable and doing remarkable things, as are you. So that's great. So, Marie, let's get into it because I am so curious to understand how you got into entrepreneurship. I'm always saying to people, what's the matter with you leaving the steady paycheck and benefits and stuff? So, and here, you obviously were caring deeply about equity and inclusion, right? And you have always had a social impact, purpose, and mission behind everything you did. So if you could encapsulate your first launch story, and then we'll get into what you're doing at Essteem, okay?
Sure. I would have to credit my mom. My mom was an entrepreneur, and even though she had a bakery, but she always taught me to take risk. Like it's just my brother and I, but I always felt that she never made me feel like I had to limit anything because I was a girl or a woman. So for me, it's about taking risks and then taking chances. Like not saying that, hey, everything you do is going to be successful, but if you don't try and see where it can take you, then you haven't done anything. So for me, that journey has been, watching my mom and having her be my biggest cheerleader.
Aww.
So it's, to have that kind of support network really helps you to think outside the box.
Well,
so I've always been that.
And the beauty of having a parent, although I swear my husband and I always say we think we thought we were going to just beat out ever our kids wanting to do entrepreneurship, because watching us was just probably such a nail biter ride. And for them, it wasn't always up, everybody. We've made money, we've lost money,
Yeah.
seriously. But to have someone in your home that understands the entrepreneurship journey, so that gives them even more, that validity and credibility when they're cheering you on. Because our family and friends love us, right, Marie? And they want us to have the best, but sometimes they're watching us like a train wreck, whereas about to happen. But with someone who has been on the journey, it makes it a little easier. So, hi, Mom. Is she still with us? Yeah, Mom's still
Yes,
here. Yay.
yes, she is, thankfully.
Thank you for being such a great role model. So, what was your first business? Like, when did you first step out into the world where you had to figure it out and bring funds in and get people enrolled?
For like, if I had to say, Raising Great Men was really the first, and I made so many mistakes with that, and thankfully I did, right? Because
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I learned from them, and they helped me to really think about things differently, especially now with Essteem. But
Right.
Raising Great Men was it.
Well, tell me some of the mistakes, because look, founders, you are so not alone. All right. I mean, Marie and I
Okay,
could
yes,
probably go
you're
down
not.
a whole list, but go ahead,
Um,
Marie.
if you build it, they will come. No. I thought, oh, this is great. I'm going to build this. There's nothing out there where there's a mom of boys who's really taking this initiative. I'm going to take the world by storm, and I'm going to I want to really help. And honestly, it took work. It took work. It took a lot of criticism. It took self reflection, all of that. Some of the other mistakes were thinking I really had to know everything and be everything for everyone. You don't. It's best to either work with someone, hire someone who can do it better, and don't worry about it. I really thought, well, I have to learn this, and I have to know how to be a great social media person. I have to learn how to be a great content creator. No, I could have built that community in
Right.
that way. I also was really hard on myself, thinking that if I didn't get like a contract or something, and I wasn't hired as a consultant, that what did I do wrong, instead of looking at it as, why wasn't I a good fit? And maybe this was not the right opportunity for me. So it was a journey, and it was difficult also, because I was trying to find myself at the same time.
Yeah.
One of the things I have to say is, uh, my husband retired from the military, and after he did 5 deployments. And so every deployment, I found myself thinking, what do I need to do with myself? Like, if I'm at a job, I felt unhappy. I felt just like there's got to be more to this, and just really realizing that you don't have to rush into everything. And I did. I rushed into building Raising Great Men, and don't get me wrong, it was a great experience, but looking back, I could have done it differently. And one of the things my older son, says to me that stays with me, he says, Mom, you were ahead of your time. You were talking about this before Me Too. And so then it wasn't, you were doing this before people were ready. And that's just what it is. And timing is everything. So I learned that too.
Okay. You guys know what I'm having right now, right? It's a serious moment, too. Let me just bring this up. Whew. Goosebumps on every level. Okay, we got 4 pieces of incredible advice from you just then, Marie. But that last one, folks, remember, timing is everything for your business. And I'll give you a really great example. Airbnb. There's no way in hell anybody was going to let a stranger into their home, or Uber, let a stranger into their car, or get into a stranger's car, if we hadn't had the collapse in 2008. Period. End of story. So, and trust me, those companies had, the great idea 4 years before that, but they were not ready. The world was not ready. And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I could make some money. Yeah, bring it in. I don't care. Stranger, whatever.
Exactly.
Same thing with everything that you've been doing, we've all been doing. So, founders, take that in on your own journey, please. And the other wonderful examples, being everything to everyone, and the stories we tell ourselves. Oh my gosh, as founders, Marie, you just brought up such great examples. Why can't you figure this out? And the personal things, instead of saying, let me look at the data and see what the data is saying,
Mhm.
because that keeps you as an observer on your business versus what's wrong with me about your business.
Exactly.
So I love
Yeah.
everything that you just said.
Hey.
Hey, hi, Aditya. How are you? Thank you for tuning in. We are a team of young people. We work with the rural artisans to help them generate a livelihood. I would love to connect with you to discuss more. Hey,
Oh,
that's
I love that.
great. Oh, and could you put in a URL or any kind of contact information, or you can see you can contact Marie. Well, I can put her email address into the comment section. So, Aditya, thank you so much for joining us today and bringing your glow and letting us know more about your wonderful work in the world. Awesome.
Great. I love that.
And prepare for VC. This is why I love their name, Marie. It tells you what they do right there in the
Exactly.
name. We prepare you for venture capital, everybody. And
Um,
they're saying from all of us in and around the Oasis, we're so excited to hear from Marie. And don't
Thank
you love that
you.
image of people being around the Oasis and just going, tell us some more? Yeah.
Oh, that feels good.
Does that feel good? Oh,
Yeah.
it's so great. So now, with all of your endeavors, you've been very purpose and mission driven, as your son said, and ahead of your time, especially around for you personally, racial diversity and inclusion. How did this become your North Star?
Oh, great question. I think realizing, well, to be honest, realizing, looking at things through different lens and realizing that, okay, for me as a woman, intersectionality as a Black woman is really important. I'm not just a woman, I'm a Black woman. And so, and putting those together really, how do I put this? It changes my life experience, right? So I had to learn to look at things through a different lens, but also realize at what time do I have some type of privilege? Because sometimes we forget that, because we're thinking I'm in this other category, but I do. Like I have access to food. I have access to transportation. I have a car. I
Right.
have access to so much. I am not. I am physically able, and I do not have a different ability as far as a neurodiversity. So, really looking at it through that made me realize that everything is not about me. That's number one, right? Everything is not about what happens to Marie, but what happens to others and the others that sometimes are not in a position to speak up for themselves. The other great thing too is because my parents are immigrants. And so I'm the first generation American. And so understanding that how people see others and the assumptions they make and the misconceptions and the stereotypes really affects and impacts how those people see themselves. So for me, social impact has been really being mindful of again, the privilege that I have, but also the challenges that I face. So it's so difficult because I have to balance the two daily.
Yeah.
And
So
so, yeah.
I really feel that what you saw and experienced, coupled with your package, how you're made up,
Yeah.
you wanted to get into the thick of it. You were compelled to say, look, how do we equal the playing field here? How do we honor folks from different capabilities and backgrounds and give everybody a lift instead of, no matter where they are in the privilege set, help them have a better experience when they're up at bat. Because so often, when you are different in some way from European white, you are starting at not even first base, to get out there with your bat, where someone like me, perhaps, or other white folks could be on third base. All right. So understanding that you'd like everybody to be starting off in a better place and have more or have less obstacles.
Mhm.
And, certainly women get challenged a lot, but people of color, and then you add in community members of the LGBTQ plus community or other abled. And I love that you chose to champion this group. And I love also what you did in in your work for raising great men and helping people understand what's going on for men in our culture
Mhm.
of all color. And it's, you see it in advertising all the time, the demeaning, like, oh, they can't take care of kids, or they can't do this, they can't do that. You know what? Raise the bar, have the expectations. Of course they can. Of course they can do, as Gloria Steinem said, when men can understand that they need to be somewhere, whether it's soccer practice or picking up after daycare, or they're responsible for dinner that night. When they start thinking at that level
Mhm.
of co-partnering in raising children and being part of the community, that's the work that you've done. I think is just so extraordinary. So let's move into Essteem. I'm so excited, about everything you're doing, because hackathons are so much fun and a
Yes.
great way to collaborate with folks. Tell us about how Essteem started, and where you're going with it, and when did you launch, and just the whole
Sure.
thing.
So, Esteem as it is today launched during COVID. I actually met my co-founder Hugo Soro during COVID, and he
Oh, wait a
was
minute. How did you meet him during COVID? This is fun. This is
virtually. We have never met in person. Isn't that crazy? This is why this is so powerful. We're actually going to meet this year. We have never met, and
And you collaborated. You both
we
saw that you had a
collaborated.
mutual vision, and you both saw this is a platform that we could make some change on.
Yes, he was thinking he wanted to do hackathons, he wanted to make a change, and I had the experience of understanding the challenges in tech because I worked with getting veterans into the tech industry, and
Mhm.
understanding that tech is the tech industry has a lot of work to do when it thinks about inclusion and belonging.
Yeah.
Never mind diversity. Let's just, inclusion and belonging is the big part. So we just met and started talking, and he loved my ideas. He's like, you have to join me on this ride and this journey. And at first I was a little bit apprehensive because I was like, can I do this? Can I, I have ideas, and I know but can I? And just went for it. And honestly, we're like yin and yang. Like, it's
This,
really so great how we
yeah,
bring
this
our
is this is
skills
kismet,
together.
in my opinion, right? Serendipity, because folks, we talk a lot about how do you know it's the right co-founder, how do you get that relationship on board, how do you put the documents together. And here you've never sat down at the table over a cocktail napkin or a coffee shop napkin.
Yes.
You found them online. Like, what cooler were you hanging out on online that you found Hugo?
So I was volunteering for the Charter for Compassion, and I thought they would be like a really good nonprofit for working, because the hackathons are designed to build solutions for nonprofit organizations.
Mhm.
So I love everything I was doing for the charter, and I was like, yeah, the charter would be great. And I had so many ideas. He's just like, just come along on this journey with me. Let's do this. Let's make this happen. And honestly, for him to have so much trust, I mean, for both of us, but really
Yes.
I think one of the things I really have to say I appreciate is that um, because as a male, he's really let me go to the front and just whatever
Get
idea I have, we talk through it, and he's just really open, has been so supportive in what I'm doing, just
Yay,
whatever
Hugo.
ideas. Yeah, he's amazing.
Well,
And
he's looking at the big picture. Which one of us is better suited to do this, and how is that going to move our mission along? It's not about Hugo; it's about the mission of Essteem.
exactly. And you're talking about serendipity. Here's the part that I love is that um, when we met, his wife was pregnant, and they had their son on my birthday. So I was like, yeah, this was meant to happen.
During COVID.
Yes. So,
Oh,
um,
Hugo,
yeah,
that's a
their
good
younger
story.
son and I share the same birthday. So I said, yeah,
Oh, when is that?
July 22nd.
Yay, coming up.
Coming up,
You're
yeah.
right on that Leo Cancer cusp. Ooh,
Exactly. Yeah.
love
So it
that.
was amazing. And that sealed it for me. I was like, you know what? We were meant to be. There's no way that
Yeah, I call that a 4th of July fireworks sign. I'm often asking the universe to send me those kind of signs. Can you just validate, but it needs to be really friggin'
Exactly.
obvious. Okay, their baby was born on your birthday. Beautiful. That works. Thank you.
Exactly. And it was not intentional. It was just,
Oh, but
yeah.
that's when you know your work is really driven, right, from a bigger picture. So thank you for sharing that
Exactly.
story. Yay, you, yay, Hugo. But again, now you're launching virtually. And, there's a lot of things to figure out when you're launching virtually, especially, with hackathons, which tend to I've always seen them. Look, I mean, look, I'm in Boston, so hackathons are everywhere. We got MIT, we've got Harvard, we got BU, we got all these educational institutions, and we got the women only, and then we got, it's amazing. How did you pull your programming together? Did you form as a nonprofit or as a
No,
for-profit?
a for-profit.
Right.
So the great part is that really just bringing our ideas together. What we did was just put it out on the table. Like, let's start talking about what this looks like, and why it's important. Let's focus on the mission, right? Not on the founders, not on Essteem, but what's the mission and who are the stakeholders. So that really helped us and it helps us still today to stay focused,
Yeah.
because it's very easy to deviate. And don't get me wrong, we've had our growing pains and floundered and all that. It wasn't a perfect script, right? We had to really work through it and really
But
be mindful of the people.
yeah, and I think putting those pillars into place are so important. So say that again about the stakeholders. I love that advice.
Yeah, just making the stakeholders the focal point, thinking about what does our community need, right? And how can we best provide it for them? We cannot be a one-stop shop for, again, I
Right.
learned that at Raising Great Men. So what is one thing we can do to help them to showcase their potential? And
Right.
the hackathons just made sense because here you have, especially women, 80% of our participants are women. You have women who either they're in tech as a second career, they spend all this money on boot camp, or they've been in tech, or they're just starting out in tech and not knowing, okay, there's so many resources out there. There's so many programs, so many women's group. How do I start this? I want to start showing what I can do. I'm sending out my resume, not getting any response. Hackathon gives an employer the opportunity to see, this is what I can bring to you. This is the value I bring. Here's what I'm building. But at the same time, I think what's most important is that our community cares about what they're building. Since they're building for nonprofit organizations, they put their heart and soul into building solutions for these nonprofit organizations that, seriously, it blows our mind every time. We have an upcoming pitch day where we get so excited and we invite people. And we've had people who attend tell us, I really didn't know this is what you were doing. They are awesome. The teams are awesome. This is honestly Essteem. Hugo and I are just the names and the face, the
Yeah.
founders. It's the community that makes it. It really is.
Well, and we had a guest on our show a few weeks ago talking about building in public. Everybody remember that? That's what you're doing. When you're that transparent, none of this stealth stuff, building in public, people can see what you do. And then they can see, oh, she would be a perfect fit for us in this organization. Oh, I love that. Something fierce. Hey, we got a LinkedIn user. Sometimes LinkedIn doesn't share, but your image for some reason. But I'm just saying hi, and I'm
I'm from
so thrilled you're coming in from Ottawa. Yay, yay, yay. Tell us more about yourself. If you have a startup, we love to hear about what you're doing. So be sure to put in your business name, your one-liner, and your website. And Marie and I will get out the clappers and we'll go, yay!
I need that. I need that for our hackathons.
I know. they really liven things up, I got to tell you. But you never know who's tuning in when I bring your business name up, and serendipity happens. We know from hearing Marie's story today. It really happens. And hello, Goddess Asia. So happy to see you today. Asia saying, hi, Andy and Marie. Came in late, but glad to see you both. Asia is a woman in tech. She's into UI and UX and doing all sorts of goodies around here and around the world. I say here because she's a Boston goddess. Yay. Love the point about building in public. That's so helpful. People get to see. And my son does that all the time on Twitch. He's a game design
Oh,
person,
really?
guy. So,
Awesome.
yeah, he's just getting his degree, one more semester. And so, needless to say, nothing changed for him during COVID.
Oh man, but you know what? He's doing it and he stayed focused. That's important.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is what Essteem is doing too. And I love that because what are just share one or two of the roadblocks that a lot of folks who are coming into tech, whether they've been through career karma or oh nope, Product South, places that are training really great
Yeah.
tech moments and getting people ready for the tech world. What are some of the roadblocks that happen that you're able to help them dissolve?
Sure. Like one of the major roadblocks is having access to a professional network in tech. I mean, we cannot take for granted, granted the fact that we can connect with people and reach out to people, but not everybody is able to do that. And so they have to learn that despite this, not despite, but after getting either your boot camp, you graduated after graduating from college, you still need to work on your professional network in order to get a great job. And one of the barriers we see is that sometimes people are not capable of doing that because they're not sure, how do I go about doing this? I'm on LinkedIn. I don't know. I'm afraid of reaching out to someone. They might say no. Or someone told me they applied to 700 jobs. Now, if we think about how mentally exhausting that must be
Oh
to
yeah.
apply and not get a response and not having an in. And let's be honest, once you have an in somewhere, it makes it a lot easier, right? Because somebody can
Right.
refer, hey, I have a friend. But one of the problems with tech is this affinity bias about employee referral programs. And I wish a lot of more employers would think about when you are setting up your employee referral program, think about who your employee is referring
Right.
and have them think outside the box, not just, okay, who do I know that I went to school with? Who's my neighbor's son? But maybe there's someone I'm connected with on LinkedIn who I've been watching what they post and they are
Right.
really motivated and I want to give them
Yeah.
a chance. Think about that.
And what I understand from Matt, our game design guy, is that it's also you have to have a portfolio now. It's not so much where you've worked, it's what you've built and what you're able to show people in your portfolio. And of course, how can you do that if you don't get any opportunities? So what I'm seeing through Essteem is that now they're building in public. We're doing an Equalithon. They know that folks are tuning in, but they're building. So now they have some projects to point to. Now they can say, hey, I participated in this hackathon here, and we did this project for this nonprofit, right?
Exactly. I think the best part is they don't even have to say they participate in a hackathon. They can say, I worked on a project and built and redesigned the website for AAJC, which is what's our hackathon for, I believe was May.
Yeah.
That's a big difference than saying, okay, I participated in a hackathon and I worked on a team. But being able to say you built a project for different nonprofit organizations, you can now put that on your resume. You can speak to what you did. You can speak to how you made a
Beautiful.
difference for the nonprofit.
And that is such
Um,
a bridge. It's such an important bridge that you're providing. And I want to remind folks that Essteem powers diversity and inclusion for Fortune 500 companies and women in STEM. So it's basing everything on values of equity and diversity and
yes.
it said in your website, breaking the glass ceiling, so to speak. Yes?
Breaking the glass everywhere.
Everything.
It's on the ceiling. It's on the glass is everywhere for some people. And we have to say, no, get them out of that cube, like break it open, let them through and let them in. You're not going to know the value someone's going to bring to your company
Right.
unless you see them in action and get to know them. And I get it. It's time consuming. You want to do other stuff. But if you don't give people the opportunity, you're missing out on great talent. And so that's the part that gets us excited because we see their excitement in building. And not only that, we encourage them to give each other kudos on LinkedIn. Like, really recommend each other when you're
Oh,
on a
yeah.
team. That really helps. And we tell the employers, whoever's sponsoring, that brings on mentors, get to know those mentors, get to know the team members, find out what they're doing. I mean, some stories are so fascinating that you're just like, wow. So you were an educator, now you're a front end developer.
Yeah.
Yes, think about that from a company's perspective. I have somebody who can design and knows how to build a website, right?
Mm-hmm.
From the front end of it. But
Right.
also, they can help me with curriculum if I want to think about doing something. They can really help me think about strategy because they were an educator. You have to look
Oh,
beyond.
you got that lived experience that you can use to. Yeah.
Exactly. Look beyond what you just see on a resume.
Oh,
Don't
God.
just let ATS, you know, command what you
What's ATS?
bring in.
What's
Oh,
ATS?
ATS is it's the, oh my God, applicant tracking system that
Okay.
a lot of it's a necessary evil that people
I
send their resume.
know. I know. Alyssa told me all about this at Arcvita. Now, folks, I've been
Oh,
unemployable since 92, but I did fall off the wagon a few times and and applied. And even when somebody would carry, like a member of the board would carry my resume, I still, to someone say, oh, you really need to hire Andy, I still would never hear from anybody. And as a branding person, I would say, how can they miss this opportunity? Someone takes the time out of their life to respond to your job posting, and I know you get thousands, and they do a cover letter, which took time.
I
You
know.
can't have an auto respond that says, thank you for taking time out. If you ever hear from us, that'll be great and you'll know you're on to the next step. But otherwise, we want to wish you tremendous success on landing somewhere. Could that be so hard to set up an autoresponder so that you never know that person that applied may end up being somebody who will need your company for something and they may not, I don't know, I don't have a good vibe. Do you see what I'm saying, Marie?
You know what? You nailed it, Andy. And think about this. COVID taught us a lot. No one, we're not protected. We're not in this little silo, right?
Right.
Because maybe the person you didn't hire or never responded to, now you're looking for a job and now you
Right.
realize the challenges they faced. So we never know where we'll end up. And I love that example you gave about somebody being at another company and thinking, well, I remember applying to this company. They can't even be thoughtful enough to respond. So
It's a branding moment, and it's a humanity moment because when someone's applying for work, they need a job and
mhm.
it's scary and they're in a scary point in their life. A little acknowledgement of their humanity would go a long way. Oh, I will get off my soapbox.
No, stay there, stay there. I love it. I mean, I love it. I had one of our community members said something. She said, Marie, I just want somebody to give me feedback. I
Yeah.
don't know what I'm doing wrong. And that broke my heart because I thought,
You're not
she's
doing
asking
anything
for something
wrong.
simple. Like,
Yeah.
she interviewed, can you give her feedback? And she's asking for feedback. They just don't respond. We're all busy. I get it. We are all busy.
Humanity people, and it is a huge lift for your brand, and I get it that you've got thousands, and that's what Alyssa from Arcvita helped me understand. Alyssa at Arcvita helps place those who have a good solid 15 years of experience and they're at a higher level, but they too are have a hard time. Another thing that you said that I really love is you help your community amplify each other.
Yes.
It's a learned skill to amplify someone else. But as soon as you learn how, it becomes something that you can practice every day and it can be part of your,
Mhm.
uh, the way you move and groove in life every day. So I love that. But
Yeah.
when you and Hugo launched Essteem, you had to do what all of us had to do, which is like, we think this idea is good, right? And we think that
Yes.
we could really serve and we're really passionate about it,
Yeah.
but who cares,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
42% of startups fail because the market was like, no, not interested.
Yeah.
Even if you do a focus group, sometimes you still launch and it's like crickets. So, How did you prove that? How did you prove your value prop so that you started to bring people in, you had the right communication, you found your fit?
Mhm.
Share a little bit about that with
I
us.
think it's funny because the first thing people employees look at are, okay, who have you worked with before? Honestly, that's the first thing. It's not even focused on the value proposition. Is, oh, so okay, I see Clark sponsored, so maybe you might be legitimate, right? But I think really what the value proposition is, they are able to now source for underrepresented, and I don't want to say underrepresented, I want to say overlooked. Even though we
Yes.
do put underrepresented, the truth is they're overlooked. You're able to source the talent that, oh, the
And
pipeline
they're
problem.
a rising majority, everybody.
Exactly. But also this perceived pipeline problem that you all complain about. Well, we have them here. We give you access to our community so you can see what they're building, so you can get to know them. You can bring on your employees as mentors of teams
So
and
you're
find out.
talking that you were positioning yourself as a B2B. So your primary customer is the Fortune
Yeah,
1000 company.
yeah. Our primary customers are the employers, the tech
Yeah.
employers. Who we serve are the nonprofits and our community.
Yeah.
But so it's a triangle. It's a perfect
Right.
little triangle. But the truth is that it's more than just performative action. Just don't talk about this pipeline problem or that you want to hire, but then you use the same traditional recruiting company that doesn't have diversity. We're
Right.
giving you the opportunity to meet people, to really get to know them in a
And
way that's unique.
and what I love is you change the subconscious bias
Exactly.
because all of a sudden their pattern matching has been the pattern matching that's been going on since dot coms, okay, which is usually a white guy in a hoodie, right? So for tech, the pattern matching is seen all walks of life, a former bodega owner, a former teacher, a former, taxi driver, a former whatever, who has developed these skills, very capable and responsible. And now you're giving them, okay, broadening and dissolving the old bias and bringing in a new way to view. Yes?
Exactly. But on top of that,
Yeah.
each one of our hackathons is designed around a theme that focuses on equity and inclusion. So, for example, this month is on the LGBTQ community, and we're partnered with startout.org. Not only do you get to understand the challenges of the community, but you're also meeting diverse um, tech talent. So it's a win win. You're
Yes.
learning about a particular challenge that a particular group faces, but you're also getting access to that group and learning more. I mean, I learned even for myself, like when we did our launch, just listening to um, startout.org talk about what they do for LGBTQ plus entrepreneurs and why this is important. There's nothing, you're not going to learn I mean, you can bring in somebody to do an anti-racism workshop, that's great, but it's one and done. But if you're
Yeah.
doing a hackathon and you're really learning about, wow, I did not know that LGBTQ plus entrepreneurs face this, I did not know that that there's laws that don't protect the employees in certain states. You learn so much, but at the same time you're getting access to overlooked talent.
Right. You're breaking down barriers, meaning you're seeing what that person's doing and providing and what, in their technology capability.
Mhm.
That's what you're focused on, not their walk of life, not what
Exactly.
the color of their skin or sexual preference, what I should say preference, but whether they're a member of that community or not. You're saying, oh, look at her go, or look at him go, and or however they identify. That's just like out of the equation.
Exactly. It's like, wow, I would not have thought this person would be a good fit, but listening to them and hearing how they're taking a lead on this team, hearing how they're thinking about taking on this challenge, and then understanding a little bit more about why this is important,
Right.
why the nonprofit is building it. you know, these are things you cannot take for granted. And if you really want to think about diversity in a unique way, you have to make the effort.
So how were you getting traction? Were you focused on, and you say this pretty clearly, we want to serve those tech companies who care, who really are walking their talk, like they know they've got a problem and they want to become more aware and more inclusive.
Yeah.
How
I'm
did
going
you
to be
find
honest.
them? Yeah.
It's hard. I'm not gonna lie. It's hard. There's some days I want to cry. Some days I do cry because there's a lot of talk, very little action. And of course, if I'm meeting someone from a tech company, they're not going to tell a Black woman they don't care about diversity. They're going to tell me anything they want me to hear, right? But the truth is, no action is taken.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a list of all these companies that made commitments to DEI, these tech companies, after the George Floyd murder.
Mm-hmm.
How many of them have actually
Yeah.
fulfilled these
Give me
commitments?
the scorecard. And I'm going to give you all a great example. So we have a community here in Boston, the Black Economic Council.
Mhm.
Tremendous gentleman runs this organization. He's fierce. I love him to pieces. Boston, of course, everybody knows we've got our history here about our racial inequality. And Boston and in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, but the city of Boston said, geez, we would hire more Black owned businesses, but we just don't know about them. And this guy was like, oh, really? And we
Yeah,
have a convention center called the Boston Convention Center. It's huge. He said, oh, let me just fill that up for you. And he did. He had an event, filled it up, and said, okay, can we just get this down on paper here?
I love
Plenty to pull from.
I love it.
Isn't
Yeah,
that
I
great?
love it. That's amazing. And I have to be honest, Andy. I think it's interesting because um, I this is a vulnerable moment. So let me
Yes.
explain. One of the challenges I have is that I'm always worried about under delivering, and we haven't done it so far. We have not. Like, but I still worry about it. So I'm always hesitant to like say, yeah, I want to take this meeting because I don't know. It's something I have to get past.
Yeah.
But I'm always thinking, if this doesn't happen, they're gonna blame me. They're gonna see the Black woman and say, well, I gave it a chance, it didn't
Wow.
happen.
Yep.
And so
Oh, that's a huge responsibility and a terrible burden.
exactly. So, and I'm sharing this because it's a truth
Yeah.
that not many of us are. I think as founders, we're expected to always be confident, hustling, we know what we want. That's not
Yeah, I
it.
don't know what TV show you're tuned into, but or what channel you're tuned into.
But I mean, but there's this idea that
Yeah.
you have to show some type of confidence, and I do. But at the same time, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, I don't want to screw this up. I
Oh
don't want to
yeah,
screw this opportunity up
it's too
because
much on the line for you as well. So we all are working on that, Marie. We're all working on these limiting beliefs that keep us
yes.
back.
Oh,
And I have a great TED talk of a multi-exited bajillionaire out of Australia who talks deeply about his own imposter syndrome. So it is a constant battle, founders. And when you see someone posting online about how they did this, they're doing this and doing that, and da da da, they're actually fighting it more than all of us because they're having to tell you what they're doing because they're battling their own feelings of limiting beliefs and insecurity. It is so hard. And Marie, thank you so much for sharing that candid and very vulnerable moment because I think we can all take a moment and just say, thank you, fist bump on the, I'm afraid I'm going to under deliver.
mhm.
That's in everybody, the pit in everybody's stomach has that name on it.
Exactly.
And you just have to get up and hold hands with that belief, everybody, because that's your shadow side. And it's so important that you not ignore it. And the beauty of Marie uncovering that for us is so we can all take a look at it and go, thank you. And
Mhm.
see it as the baking soda in your delicious cake. Tastes terrible, but when you blend it in, delicious, right?
So
So when you're having those moments and you're just thinking, I don't even want to take that meeting because what if I don't deliver, right? Just go, okay, and then let the other side of yourself show up, the one that goes, all right, and if that happens, I have support in my life somewhere to help me get through it, because
Oh,
they
yeah.
can point to you and go, you underdelivered, and it's like, oh, I was right.
Exactly. And you know what? And I have to be honest, I'm not always going to get it right. We're not always going to get it right, but we're doing our best. And the best part is we're improving each time. We're growing our community by 10% every month, which is great. And we're getting traction. We're getting employers to really
Yeah.
take meetings now, right? Whereas before it's like, yeah, we really want to do something about DEI. We honestly talk to them and say, no, we're not going to talk about this. If you hire someone, what's your plan for onboarding, making sure they feel included? What's your plan for making sure they feel that they belong? It's not just hiring, you got to think about retention. So when we say we want employers that are committed to DEI, we mean that. We don't want someone from our community to go somewhere and be miserable. If you're committed to it, then do it, right? We talk so much about what needs to be done. Why isn't it being done?
Right.
It's
You're into the solution side of things, which is
exactly.
hire and retain and make sure the experience is equitable and inclusive, that people feel they belong. And that's some work for you to do, companies. Just a little sidebar on Marie's point about under delivering. One more thing, I went to an all women's MBA program, Marie. We focused a lot about women in the world versus men. And so men tend to look at who's doing it the worst and say, oh, I just have to do better than that person. And women, so this just address the female side, looks and says, who's doing it the best? I have to do it better than them.
That's so
So
true. That's so true.
we have to understand that we have that going on as well. But to go back to these corporations that you're finding for the right traction so that you can get that experience going for your people. I love that. Something fierce. So in moving the business model forward, is it the companies that pay you? I just want to understand the
Yeah,
revenue model
sure.
for what you're doing.
So our model is we have a subscription model
Okay, great.
for employees to just sponsor. And we started that at a pretty reasonable rate. We looked at job boards and how much do you pay a month for job boards? Well, then you can sponsor a hackathon for 250 to 500.
Nice.
Where we look at really our revenue is when you hire. That's when we would charge like about $5,000 per employee.
Right.
Because then we're working as a traditional recruiter in a way. Because we're doing the work. It takes
You're finding the great people. You're bringing them in for the hackathon. So,
yeah, it's a lot of work, and I have to. It's work to put these hackathons, and Hugo does a great job of like.
How often do you have them?
Every month we have them.
Beautiful.
So we do them every month, and we'll do them more often. We also do ideathons, which are if you're not ready for a hackathon and you just want to brainstorm, how can we be more inclusive? And what is it that, how can we hire more people? What do we need to think about? You know what? Ask the community, ask the people that are looking for jobs. They're the ones you should be talking to. They're the ones you should be meeting with.
Yeah,
Like
I'm loving that idea.
Yeah, like these are the people you should be sitting down, having meetings with and talking to. What is it that you're looking for in a company? How can we be more inclusive? If you're not doing that, what's the point?
What's the point? I mean, in the world I'm in with the startup world, right? We have the VCs. Oh yes, we're all inclusive, and and yes, we have a lot of Black-led VC firms that have come up, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
Backstage Capital, Erlen Hamilton's group is one of them. However, I'm in, kind of a VC capital here in Boston, and I see them all talking. And every time I look around, they got another white person they're hiring out of Williams College or Dartmouth or Harvard with maybe 2 years under their belt and calling them a partner. So I'm looking for that that spreadsheet that has this is the date they said that. Where are they at? Nope.
Oh, yeah, I'll be able to share that with you because
Airtable. That's what we need. A living Airtable.
No, you have to look at it because it's mind blowing because you're like, wait, all these companies said this and publicly on Twitter, on social media, they,
in the news.
Yes, all these stories. Here's the other thing we like to say, and this is more tongue in cheek. we want to keep your company, when you mentioned the news, out of the news. We want to help you do that, because once you're there, there's no saving you,
Yeah,
right?
that's hard to unwind. Oh, what are you talking about? No,
Yeah.
it's there, and everything, folks. Branding is humanity. Okay, your brand promise. If you're promising your brand is committed to inclusivity, and we see this, and I'm sure you've seen it, Marie, a huge increase over the last few years of bringing DEI into the C-suite,
Mm-hmm.
which is now we have a chief DEI officer.
Mm-hmm.
How are they doing? I'd like a little update on that as well, because
Oh,
as Marie has said, and what I told you about here in Boston, everywhere, plenty of talented people who are looking for a chance to prove that they can be your next great hire and deliver in a way you need done for your business. I love this comment, Asia. Well said. That can be exhausting, feeling the need to compete. Haven't heard that feeling expressed that way before. Yes, yes, yes. So, what hard thing are you working on right now, Marie, that the Startup Life Live community can help add wind to your sails? Share with us.
I would have to say, honestly, it's really getting companies on board. It's been a challenge. We're a small team, and Hugo and I are working. It feels like 24 hours a day, and we really want to meet these companies that are committed to DI, that do see the value of a hackathon and having access to diverse talent, but also, showing respect, showing that they value the community.
Right.
So, if you know of a company that cares and they want to not only sponsor a hackathon, but here's the other thing. Here's the best part. For every company that sponsors our hackathon, we give a donation to our nonprofit partners so they can continue doing their work. So we're doing, yeah, it's not, we don't only build a solution for them, we give them some of that sponsorship money. So we
Yeah.
know that nonprofits are struggling. Startups are struggling. Yes, we are. We are
Yeah.
struggling. We're bootstrapping, but honestly, nonprofits, it's hard for them. COVID was a tough time. So if we can do
Absolutely.
something, and
Every dollar matters and social impact matters.
it does. It really does. I'm glad you said that. And I love what we do. I love it to the point where before going to sleep, I'm just like, I love what we do. And I just wish more people can see the
Yeah.
value in what we do. And the exciting thing is that we've met some great companies that are, that have supported us.
Right.
Clorox, I mean, I can't tell you how thrilled that was for last year to have a major hackathon, and they sponsored it, like really believing in us. And we were this little scrappy startup. So
yeah, but you remember you and I don't know Hugo's background, but I imagine it's deep like yours. You're bringing decades worth of experience of delivering. Sorry, you have been.
yeah, and we're delivering, and we have been delivering. I think, that was the best part when I spoke to Jackson, who's the GM at Clorox. I was so worried, like, okay, Jackson, here's what we did. We sent them, here's, the impact you had by sponsoring. And he said, Marie, we love what you do, and we'll continue to support. Just ask. And just realizing that was the best thing. Just ask.
Just ask.
Right?
And as someone who helps women with their WeBank application, I follow a lot of the minority owned business national organizations. And boy, do they have their thumb on the pulse of the companies who care. So I'm going to share that information with you
Okay, thank
after
you.
the show ends.
Yeah.
Anybody, this is on your radar now. What tech companies or what companies that you know of who have said that they're committed to DEI, who would be a great introduction? Maybe you're working there, or maybe a friend of yours is working there and you'd like to share that. Please, you see all the information right here for Marie and for Essteem. This is a wonderful opportunity for you to do some social impact through connecting. So thank you for sharing that with us, Marie. And and thank you, Asia. It's amazing what you're doing, Marie. glad to learn about your company.
Thank you. Yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn, Asia, please.
Absolutely. And so, tell us a little bit about how entrepreneurship has served you, Marie, both personally and professionally.
I love that question. I would say personally, it served me in being able to see what I can do, right? Like really pushing me, again, when I talked about being vulnerable and under delivering, it it helps to push me further. It helps me to uh, do things that are a little scary. I have to say things that sometimes I question: can I do this? Entrepreneurship just pushes me in that direction. Like you don't have a choice; you're going to do it. So that's personally. I would say both personally and professionally. That's what it's done. But it's helped me to realize that I'm setting an example for my sons. And if they see that I'm doing it and I'm taking the risk, that they'll do that too. And especially around social impact. That was the whole thing about raising great men is, raising men of character who want to change the world. So
Right.
if I can be an influence to them, then my work is done. That's
I
it.
love that. Oh my gosh, that is so wonderful. Thank you for those great, great words of wisdom. Any last words you'd like to share about Essteem and everything that you're working on?
Just last words that, we have a really great hackathon next month. Two moms came to us about a challenge about how do we protect our Black kids when they encounter the police, and they want to build an app. And so we're going to have a hackathon that supports that and supports another nonprofit that is really, really trying to change how our Black community engages with the police. So I'm excited about that because it's impact in a different way, and it's something that personally affects me, and I know that we're the community is going to build something amazing. So I can't
Yes.
wait
Are
to
you
see what they
kidding?
do.
I am so excited about what you're doing. And, and to expand a little bit on entrepreneurship, how it serves us, I'm always saying, could I have a non-comfort zone stretching? I want to hang out in the comfort zone, frankly.
Yes.
You know, as founders, we spend all our time outside our comfort zone. Can I have some comfort
Yes.
zone moment? I don't need to push the boundaries,
Exactly. And can there be a comfort room, right? Can I have a room where it's just all right, I'm good here. But yeah,
easy.
every day.
But that's the beauty of the passion. That's the beauty of bringing your work to the world in a meaningful way.
Mhm.
You're not drifting, right? You are on purpose. And remember, you've only been at this since April 2020. Look at what you've done so far. Just as an observer, it is huge, folks. To do what Marie and Hugo have done with Essteem is remarkable. So I'm really proud of you, and I'm celebrating you big time
Oh,
today.
I appreciate that because I'm thinking the other way. We've been here at this since April. Why haven't we
Oh,
done more?
no,
So I
Marie,
appreciate that.
it's a 10-year overnight success. Come on.
I know, I know, I
It
know.
takes time, and I'm grateful. This is the 91st episode since April 2020 on the Startup Life Live show. So, that level of consistency of showing up, it always pays off. I'm so grateful you joined me today for this
Thanks.
beautiful, compassionate, and courageous conversation. And I am fully confident that you and the Essteem team are changing lives every single day, everywhere you glow. And I see continued success, both personally and professionally for you both. I'm
I
so
thank
happy.
you. That's beautiful. Thank you for putting that out into the world. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Hop into the green room. I'm going to wrap up with everybody here. Thank you so much, Marie, for joining us
Yes.
today. Do you feel empowered, inspired? And remember, what company do you know that you could refer Marie to so she can continue with these great conversations and bring companies in so they can experience everybody while they're building in public for a really good cause, a nonprofit cause like the app that she's talking about there. I just love that, something fierce. Hey, guess what? I am off next week because I just did 8 shows in June. I'm feeling really good about that. And I will be back on July 6th with an incredible lineup for July that you will love. meeting these founders, learning from these founders, and helping your own business at the same time. I want to remind you that if you want to get an alert every time I post a new show, please join my meetup group. You can scan this QR code, hop onto that link, and that way you'll receive an alert whenever I post a new show. Here's a little something about live streams. LinkedIn and Facebook don't let you post a show until 6 days and 23 hours before you go live. So you want to join the meetup group so you hear about fascinating founders who are sharing amazing startup stories. And these are founders in the trenches, everyone. They're the ones who are, there's no guarantee right now. They're not sitting there with the 2020 hindsight in the armchair. They are in the trenches, making things happen, just like Marie and Hugo are with Essteem, sharing their possibility with you and the solutions they're figuring out on the fly. And I know that their stories have impact. And sincerely, I'm so grateful for you tuning in and bringing your glow and your presence via live or replay. So grateful for your time. Hop onto my website if you're feeling called to add your donation and your support to keep Startup Life Live moving forward. I got some Patreon buttons down there, and perhaps that resonates with you as well. And as I wrap things up, I want to remind you right here to promise me that you will remember you're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and oh yeah, wicked smarter than you think. So you say here in Boston. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm excited to learn more about you and what you're doing in the world. Please feel free to connect with me online, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. And frankly, I'm everywhere on social media. I'd love to learn more about you and what you're doing. I'll see you next time, June 6th. Stay tuned. Mwah. Wishing you a delicious day everywhere you glow.